Okay, if there are no questions, we're going to jump right into finishing up chapter 12. This is chapter 12, section 4, personal property loans. Hopefully they'll give us some examples of those because I don't know if I can think of any off the top of my head. So we're going to define a personal property and real estate, use the formula for amortization to find payment, set up a schedule, and find monthly payments. Okay, you guys do not need to write all of that down. It's just what we're going to go over. All right, define personal property and real estate. So personal property, items that can be moved from one location to another. So a car, a boat, a stereo, basically anything you guys find value in. So like some folks are like super duper into art stuff, right? So they might have like art pieces that are ridiculously valuable. The fact that you can move that with you from house to house, that is a personal property item that you would probably have insured. All right, real estate or real property, items that cannot be moved like land and homes. So clearly this person's lakefront view here and their actual house would be real estate or real property, whereas their car and boat here, which isn't this lady just awesome for a cartoon character? So glad she gets to live the life. All right. Personal property loans. Banks, credit unions, finance companies, and many other types of companies make money through personal property loans. Typically repaid or amortized. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right and not all of Facebook is going to laugh at me. Although I only have 3 subscribers, so I think I'm all right. Using monthly payments. If a buyer is not able to make the payments as promised, the lender must repossess the personal property. So, I heard something weird the other day. I probably shouldn't have overheard it, but I mean, I was doing my job and someone was just talking really loudly by me. If someone tells you, if a company tells you that they're not interested in repossessing your car, they're lying to you. Okay? If you don't make your payments, they're going to repossess it. I don't care if it's the world's most junkiest junker. They're going to find some other person to sell it to, and they're going to repossess your car. So please don't ever think that if a company tells you, no, it's okay, you don't have to pay, we don't even want your car anyway. I didn't mean to make all of that rhyme, but yeah, that's a load of junk. That's incorrect. All right. Use the formula for how to pay back a payment. All right. The periodic payment needed at the end of each period to pay off the loan with interest, I per period over n periods, is found by using the following formula. So the payment equals the loan amount times the number from the table. Okay. And this table, you are given this in your homework. All right. You also can print it out from your homework. Like I've said many times before, printing it out is definitely worth it, in my personal opinion. All right. So like if we had, let's say, go easy on ourselves. If we had 20 months or 20 payments left and the interest rate per period was 8%, then we would multiply the loan amount by 0.10185. All right, that's just an example. All right, let's look at this situation. Sven is a mechanic at a Ford dealership. He was so impressed with the quality of Fords that he purchased an SUV at a cost of $29,400, including tax, title, and license after the rebate. He made a down payment of $3,500 and was able to finance the balance at a special incentive rate of 6% per year for 4 years. All right, first off, let's just take a hot second to realize that you are not going to get any kind of special incentive rate. You do not work for Ford, therefore, you're not going to get a nice, cushy 4-year 6% rate. I can tell you guys, if you are into cars, like legitimately into cars, and you're someone who would like to have a new car like every year or so, go work for a dealership. I don't care what you do for them. They will find ways to hook you up. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Like, work for a car dealership if you like owning cars or like having a new car. The other thing I would suggest is if you are someone who works like really close to where you live, you can do a leasing, which means after so many miles or such a certain period of time, you actually bring the car back to the lot and then you will pick another new car. Where people get in trouble with leases is if they go over the mileage, then they either have one of two choices. They can pay the fee for going over the mileage, which is ridiculous. That fee is insane. Or they can choose to then buy the car, and you would get a loan for that car. But then that kind of doesn't really give you that freedom of getting to change your car every year or so. All right, so we need to find the monthly payment. We need to find the portion of the first payment that is interest, the balance due after one payment, the interest owed for the second month, and the balance after the second month. These are exactly the kind of problems you're going to see on your homework. All right. Example 1. Amount financed is $29,400 minus your down payment, so minus the $3,500, is going to give you $25,900. You're going to use 6% divided by 12, which is 0.5% per month, and 4 times 12, which is 48 months in the table to find 0.02349. This came from that table, the one that we had a couple slides ago. Monthly payment is equal to 25,900 times the amount from the table. So that's going to be 608.39. Anna, just let me know when you're done writing it. Okay. All right, so here's the next set. The interest for the first month, we're going to do principal times rate times time. So the 25,900 times 0.06 times 112 is going to give us an interest of 129.50. So then we're going to take the amount of the first payment, and then we're going to subtract off the interest. And that means that $478.89 is applied to the principal, which means that the balance after the first payment is $25,421.11. Are we understanding? I hope as we enter the end of these chapters, if you get nothing else from this class, I hope you understand that if you want to get yourselves in a situation where you have a big loan like this, you do not want to pay those payments as they're set up. You want to make sure that those payments are going to be larger so that you're hitting on your principal quicker. Okay? I'm sorry, guys. I did not take my allergy pill this morning and I am dying. All right. All right, interest for the second month. We're going to take the principal from the previous month's balance times the 0.06 times the 1/12, and we'll get an interest of $127.11. You'll take that off of the payment amount. So now you're going to hit the principal with $481.28. So that means after the first 2 months, they're now down to $24,939.83. Okay. Questions on a problem like this? Because you will have to do them. No? Okay, good. All right. Set up an amortization table. Again, this is something that you're going to have to do on your homework. It is sometimes helpful to display payment information in the form of a table called an amortization schedule. All right, so we're going to do one of these. Ruth Ginsing needed $22,300 for equipment for her car wash. Due to issues with her credit history, the bank required her to put down $5,000 and agreed to lend the balance at a relatively high 12% compounded quarterly, with quarterly payments spread out over 2 years. Hold on a second, guys. Okay. So we need to find the quarterly payment and show how the payments in the table, show the payments in a table. All right, here's the first step. We're going to take the $22,300 and subtract the $5,000 down. So that leaves her with $17,300 to pay off in the 2 years. But you will have to realize that she's doing it every quarter and that it's compounded quarterly. So you're going to take the $17,300 and then you're going to multiply it by the table. So they took the 12%, divided it by 4, so that gives them 3%, and the 2 times the 4 to be 8 quarters. Okay? So then she's looking at having to pay back $2,464.56. Now, just for a moment, look at how much she needed. She needed $22,300. They told her, okay, we'll give you that, but you have to give us $5,000 of it first. Okay, so she did that. So now she's down to the $17,300. Take a look, guys. I'm serious. This is crazy how banks are. This is the total she's paying for right here. This messed up amount. I'm gonna be nice and clear that, but I'm just saying, like, that's more than she even needed. And then they wanted her to have the $5,000 down, so it's like she didn't even. I'm just cranky about this problem already. All right. Continue the process to find the first 4 payments and corresponding balance. Okay, so obviously payment number 0 is going to be 0 for the amount, 0 for interest, 0 portion to the payment. So she's at the $17,300. For the first payment, this is the amount that we figured out. This is the amount for interest. This is the portion that's going to go for the principal. And then here it brings it down. Okay? So she has to almost pay back half of the $5,000 every time. That's just a ton of money, man. That's a ton of money. All right. Any questions on a problem like this? Because you will have to fill out one of these tables. No? Okay. Loan payoff table is an alternative to the table we just did. It's a different format. APR is down the left column and the number of months are across the top. Personal property loans sometimes have higher interest rates. People are more likely to default on a smaller item than on a house. That is correct. So here's our APR. Here's our number of months. And then here's our table numbers. So to find a monthly payment, again, we're going to take the loan amount times the number from the table. After a trade-in, Vicky Ewing owes $17,400 on a new Harley-Davidson motorcycle and wishes to pay the loan off in 60 months. Her banker told her that the interest rate would be somewhere between 9 and 14% depending on her credit history. Find the monthly payment at both interest rates, find the total finance charge at both interest rates, and find the extra cost of having poor credit. Okay, so we actually have to look at both options here. So if we're at 9% for 60 months, then we're going to multiply it by 0.02076. If we're at the 14% for 60 months, then we're at 0.02327. Okay. All right, so now we're going to have to multiply them at the different rates. So here, if she has the lower rate, it's going to be $361.22 a payment, or at the higher rate, it'll be $404.90 a pay. Finance charge is the sum of all payments minus the amount financed. So take 60 times your $361.22 minus the amount being financed, and you would have $4,273.20 at the lower amount. Here's the finance charge at the higher amount. You're going to take 60 times your $404.90 and subtract off the amount financed. So it's $6,894. And then there's your difference. So it definitely helps to have a better credit score. Any questions on that kind of setup? Again, remember, you will have to do this on your homework, and I assume on your quiz, and potentially on your last exam. All right. Clearly, having a poor credit history can be very costly. In this case, over $2,500 is the difference. Okay. All right. So that is the, okay. All right, 12.5 real estate loans. We're going to determine monthly payments on a home, prepare a repayment schedule, define escrow accounts, define fixed and variable rate loans, and understand your credit score. So determining monthly payments on a home. Home mortgage depends on the amount borrowed, interest rate, and term of the loan. Mortgage rates, interest rate of the loan, refinance. If interest rates fall, people can reduce their monthly payments by getting a new mortgage at a lower rate. Whoops. And rates were at an all-time high of 15% in 1982 and dropped below 4% recently. In fact, right now they're probably much, much lower. I want to say they're actually like 1%. You guys can look that up on your own if you're interested. Here's something I will tell you also about if you're going to be someone who wants to own a home, you want to include your taxes in your mortgage. Okay. If you wait and pay your taxes at the end of the year, many people have lost their homes because they do not have the money to pay their taxes at the end of the year. So you want to make sure that you're paying them throughout the year with your mortgage. Okay, these are mortgage rates since 1963. You can see that they estimated it in 2017. So this does not have the data in it from 2020 or 2021. So yes, those are probably even lower. All right. Longer terms repayment period shows monthly repayment necessary to repay $1,000 for differing interest rates and lengths of payment. Divide amount borrowed by 1,000, multiply by the number from the table. Okay, so let's do an example. After making a down payment, the Stringers needed to borrow $140,000 to purchase a condominium. They want to know the effect of the interest rate and term of the loan on costs. Find the monthly payment for both 15 and 30 years at 4% and at 6%. Then find the total cost of the home with each loan and the finance charge for each loan. Okay, so amount financed in thousands would be 140 because you're going to take 140,000 and divide it by 1,000. So the easiest thing for you guys to do here is you just count 3 zeros and then chop them off. And that's your answer. Multiply this value by each appropriate factor from the real estate table. So we're going to have 4% interest for 15 years will be 140 times 7.40, which is 1,036 a month. 6% interest for 15 years would be 140 times 844, which is 1,181 and 60 cents per month. 4% interest for 30 years will be 140 times $4.77, which will be 667 and 80 cents per month. And lastly, 6% interest for 30 years will be 140 times 6, which is $840 per month. Those are not that bad, and that would be why most people prefer to buy a home over renting a home. But the problem is, all of the responsibility, if something breaks, you have to fix it, and that's going to be money out of your pocket. If you default on your home loan, you are out of a house. You do not own it. You cannot sell it. You anything you would get from it would go straight to the bank, and then you would be basically homeless. You'd have to figure it out. Not a good situation you want to be in. But people like owning their own homes. You just have to do it smart. Let me know when you're done writing this down and we'll move on to the next piece. All good? Okay, so total cost of financing the home is the sum of all the payments. So again, they're doing this like per situation. So 4% interest for 15 years would be the 1,036 times 15 years times 12 months per year is going to be a total cost of $250,656. And if you break it down, you're going to keep seeing the differences. Obviously, the best option for this particular situation would be the 6% for 15 years, if they can afford it, would be $212,688 total. All right. Let me know when you have that done. Okay. Let me know when you guys are done and I'll move it.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Spreading out the loan repayment reduces the payment, but results in much higher interest over the term of the loan. Notice that the total cost of the condominium is much more than the original price of the condominium. The finance charge of the interest cost of each of the loans is the total cost found in Part B minus the amount financed of $140. So clearly, higher interest rates in longer terms add huge payments to the interest that must be paid to purchase the property. So the least expensive is 15 years for 4%, and the most expensive will be 30 years at 6%. But that didn't make sense. This is definitely more money than this one. All right, whatever. If that's what they say. All right. Mortgages of 30 years are common. However, some people choose accelerated mortgages with terms of 15 or 20 years to reduce the total amount of interest paid to the mortgage companies. Also, did I tell you guys that 20%, I believe, is the magic number for you to have saved for your down payment, because then you don't have to pay what's called, I think it's called either real estate insurance or mortgage insurance, something like that. So that is good to know. Many lenders use a computer to calculate the schedule, also called a repayment schedule. This schedule separates each payment into the portion going into interest and the portion reducing the debt or the principal payment. The Zinks purchase a house by borrowing $195,000 at 7% for 30 years. Prepare a loan repayment schedule for this loan. That is a super adorable house, and I can tell you right now, I would not sell $195,000. That would sell like way more. All right. First, find the monthly payment, then use the simple interest calculations. So the monthly payment would be the 195 times the 665, which would be 1,296 and 75 cents. So here they're finding the first month information. You guys good? All right, so here's for the second month. They're going to take the principal from that's left over from the first payment month, and then they're going to figure out the rest. All right. Let me know when you're done so I can move to the next spot. Okay. So you guys at this point should definitely understand how to do this. Your interest we've been figuring out for the whole semester. So now we're going to use all of this to create the chart. All right, at first the amount applied to the interest is large and the amount applied to reduce the principal is small. Every month the debt goes down, lower interest the following month, more of each payment is applied to reduce the principal. It requires 262 months, nearly 22 years, to pay off half of the debt, and only 98 months, just over 8 years, to pay off the other half of the loan. So that's kind of crazy when you think about it. That's super crazy. All right. Escrow accounts or impound accounts. The buyer pays 1/12 of the total estimated real estate tax and insurance each month. Lender holds the funds until taxes and insurance falls due, then pays the bills for the borrower. The Campbell family borrowed $322,450 for 25 years at 5% to purchase a home with 5 acres with the miniature horses they own. Annual insurance and taxes on the property are $940 and $7,382 respectively. Find the total monthly payment. So the monthly payment is going to be the $322.45 times the $585 plus $940 plus $7,382 divided by 12. So that's going to give them a per month payment of $2,579.83. Oh. Okay. Fixed rate loans are home loans with a fixed stated interest rate. Adjustable rate mortgage, or ARM, has a variable interest rate. The interest rate is periodically reset by the lender to either a higher or lower rate. Obviously, most people are going to get a fixed rate, but the downside to that would be if you have a fluctuating economy and you could get a lower rate some months, then you would want the lower rate. But honestly, most people don't want that risk, so they just go with the fixed rate. Underwater is debt on a home is higher than the market price. And that can be a bad news bears situation for most people. Understand your credit score. Mortgage companies, banks, and other lending institutions determine your credit worthiness using a FICO score. Credit score was established by FICO, Fair Isaac Corporation, in 1989, based on the numerical values ranging from 300 to 850. The higher the score, the higher the credit worthiness. Understanding your credit score. The lower the score, the more difficult it is to get a loan at a good interest rate. National credit reporting agencies Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian scores may differ slightly from one agency to the next. And your Credit Karma, which is free, only ever has 2 of the 3. It never has the third one. Here's how one larger lender uses FICO. FICO score, creditworthiness. Above 730, excellent. 700 to 729 is good. 670 to 699, increased scrutiny. 585 to 669 is higher credit risk. And below 585 is high credit risk. Your FICO score is based on a weighted average of the following factors: payment history, amount owed, length of credit history, new credit, and types of credit in use. So like someone who's 18, has never had a car loan, has never had a credit card, and wants to go in and get their first car, they're not going to get a good interest rate unless they have a cosigner with a really good credit score. That's why a lot of times younger people will have cosigners. All right. The largest weights in the FICO score are applied to the first 2 factors: payment history and amounts owed. You can control both of these factors, but you do not have control over the third factor, length of credit history, since this is partly based on age. New credit refers to the amount of new credit you have recently been given. The higher your FICO score, the easier it is to obtain a loan and the lower the interest rate at which you borrow. To raise your FICO score, make sure that credit agencies do not have any incorrect information. Correct any mistakes on your financial records at the agencies. To improve your FICO scores, pay bills on time, catch up on any back payments, pay down the amount owed so that you are not using more than 30% of the credit limit on any one account. Maintain credit cards for long periods of time. Do not open new accounts too frequently. All right. That is that. Does anyone have questions on